Everybody has a favorite multiplayer game, and those games usually have a wide variety of maps in all shapes and sizes. Some maps are loved because their design allows for peak gameplay. Other maps are just more nostalgic and mean a lot to people. And then some maps you just want a 360 no-scope on. But regardless, everybody has a map that they would consider the best. So today, I want to discuss what I think are the best multiplayer maps of all time. And I will be basing these off a simple criteria: how peak the map design is, how iconic the map is to the overall gaming community, and how fun is it? All of this is clearly subjective, so while yes, this is all my personal taste and opinion, I will be trying my best to step back and really give credit where credit is due to some iconic maps in games that even I don't personally love. But regardless, I will upset some people and miss out on some maps entirely. But you've been warned, this is my opinion. And to help streamline this video, I will be discussing the best maps in different categories of games, so none of these choices are in any particular order, and at the end, I will choose what I think is the best among the ones I discussed today. So without further ado, this is the best multiplayer map of all time. Arena shooters have some of the most iconic maps ever made. From Unreal Tournament's Facing Worlds, to Quake's Longest Yard, to The Facility in GoldenEye, where you spawn in the vents. However, there's easily one game series with maps that everybody knows about. The most famous arena shooter series, Halo. Many of us have fond memories in these huge big team battle maps like Blood Gulch in Halo Combat Evolved or Zanzibar in Halo 2, riding warthogs with your brothers sharing a screen. But when it comes to incredible map design, I think of the 4v4 maps that not only shaped my childhood, but also shaped the beginnings of esports, with Major League Gaming, or MLG for short. Maps like Lockout in Halo 2 or Guardian in Halo 3. But when I think of Halo, I think of competitive capture the flag on the best map, the Pit. The Pit has everything. It has an incredible layout that plays very well for almost every game type. The aesthetic is quite simple. It's a training ground for UNSC troops, with these practice targets shaped like brutes that pop up every time you walk past them. Every part of this map feels very distinct, with big splashes of color, yellows, greens, blues, so you always know where you are. Fighting for the sword at sword base, sniping on the sniper towers, or successfully juggling a flag across the map are just some of the many reasons why this map is one of the best maps of all time, and consistently gets remade in every single Halo game ever since. The Pit, more like the GOAT. Now, when it comes to hero shooters, the map design is a little bit different because these maps are locked in to one game mode. From payload maps to more control type maps to something in between, which leads to a lot of interesting and unique map layouts. The granddaddy of the genre, Team Fortress 2, has some of the most famous maps like Upward, and of course the chaotic 2 Fort, which is either your favorite map or your least favorite map. There's no in between. And while Marvel Rivals does have some decent maps, half of them are Clintar, and the rest are just meh, so none of them really deserve an honorable mention. But when it comes to hero shooters, I believe that Overwatch has some of the most beautiful and iconic maps of all time. And I'm not talking about Overwatch 2, where they decided to randomly change the lighting. I'm talking about the OG classic Overwatch maps. Lijiang Tower has 3 very distinct control points that always create fun games. Route 66 is just a straight up Western in all the right ways, making for one of the most fun payload maps. Hollywood has one of my favorite NPCs, which is the director in the limo that you're pushing, just yelling at you. Hanamura was one of the most gorgeous maps ever made, and it's only held back by the fact that it was on one of the worst game modes, 2CP. RIP Hanamura, and good riddance to CP. But if you're like me, who's an OG Overwatch fan,
what are you doing?
It's not what it looks like. The map that had the best flow and the best gameplay is easily King's Row. King's Row is pretty damn near perfect for the 6v6 fighting of the original Overwatch, where almost every tank and composition could be strong. It was fun to play in every type of meta: dive, goats, even double shield. It had a lot of close range encounters, but also plenty of long sightlines, so you could play a more ranged character like Widowmaker if you'd like. And there were tons of flanking routes as well. And aesthetically, I loved the way it looked. It actually felt like you were traveling through alleyways of England at night. And this map was even featured in one of the original cinematics. And then Zenyatta's brother dies. It's like a whole thing. Then the payload would end at an Omnic factory, and at the end, if you won, you would EMP the Omnics. Wait, isn't that like killing them? Oh my god, are we terrorists on this map? King's Row is just one of the best designed maps in Overwatch. And there's a reason why that even to this day, people still always vote for it in the voting section. It's just an absolute classic. Do I just talk about specific points of interest like Tilted Towers or Skull Town, or do I talk about the entire map? And I ultimately feel like the correct decision is to talk about the entire map. But these maps change a bunch, so I will try my best to talk about them holistically, and I'll be more specific when I have to be. From classic PUBG maps like Vikendi to Rebirth Island and Warzone, a lot of banger Battle Royale maps out there. I have to mention Fortnite's Chapter 1 Season 2 map, with some of the most memorable places like Tilted Towers being introduced, and there's a reason people keep coming back to it, even if I personally think that it's a tad bit overrated. But I really do think that Apex Legends is the best Battle Royale game. And while I personally do love Olympus, from both a competitive perspective and iconicness, World's Edge has got to be my pick for the best Battle Royale map. It's just a well-balanced and fun Battle Royale map overall. Regardless if you like it now or back in the day when it had a train, the map's main theme has stayed consistent with its extreme biodiversity. Hot lava on one side right next to a frozen core. It's very colorful, it's very vibrant, and it had a solid combination of both urban fighting and wilderness. While Skull Town in Kings Canyon was easily Apex Legends' Tilted Towers, in my opinion, the real Tilted Towers equivalent in Apex was always Capital City. The zipline elevator fights were always insane and led to some of the coolest clips you have ever seen in any Battle Royale. Oh man, I'm getting pretty nostalgic about it. World's Edge edges out the competition easily. So fighting games are really interesting because for the most part, the maps don't really matter gameplay-wise. For a lot of fighting games, it's basically just a glorified wallpaper with different music. But some of these stages are still iconic, like the shopping district in Street Fighter 2, because it's a street fight, this is the street that you would fight on. The carnival stage in Marvel vs. Capcom always stuck out to me. It's just so over the top, and that clown face is ingrained in my brain, but it's the music on this map. It's just so perfect for this game, like, mwah, incredible. Now, for a game like Tekken, the stage matters a little more, since some have walls, and some have no walls, or breakable walls. Basically, walls matter.
Are you sure about that?
But I always found King Stage, the Sky Ring in Tekken 3, just to be the coolest place to fight on. You're fighting to the death in the sky. It's just so over the top and fitting for a luchador like King. I mean, I just love King. Top tier fighting game design. The one fighting game where the stages drastically changed the gameplay has always been platform fighters, aka the Smash Bros games. So many of these stages are iconic. There's more casual ones like Smash 64's Sector Z or Melee's Temple that create some of the most fun memories for everyone who has grew up on them, reminding us that at the end of the day, this is still a party game. But the competitive Smash scene, with their limited map pool, has created some of the most important and iconic stages of all time. Fountain of Dreams in Melee is a gorgeous competitive map with arguably the best music in the game. And while Final Destination in Melee has been memed to death and is iconic in its own right, it doesn't have platforms. And I feel like the best map in a platform fighting game should probably have platforms too. So that's why I believe that Battlefield, specifically in Smash Ultimate, is the gold standard. It's simple and effective. It's relatively fair for most characters, and in Smash Ultimate, you can actually change any stage to become Battlefield, which creates unique platform designs for every single stage. Yes, I know you can also do this with Final Destination, but it just looks and feels cooler when the platforms like become leaves and stuff. Like, come on. That's tight. But honestly, both Battlefield and Final Destination are equally as iconic and important to the competitive Smash scenes, and they have both created hype moments that we've all remember. Wombo combo, screw it. This is my video. It's a tie between Battlefield and Final Destination. I don't care if you're mad about it. Too bad. It's a tie, baby. When it comes to designing tactical shooter maps, every wall, every sightline, every choke point, everything is extremely important because you can die instantly. So making maps that look and feel good to play on is not as simple as other shooting game genres. I do think that Valorant has done a pretty good job with this. Their maps tie into the lore with very interesting aesthetics, but the map that really knocked it out of the park has got to be Ascent. It plays very well for a lot of different playstyles, and it's just so cool looking, being a floating map in the sky. Rainbow Six Siege's Clubhouse has always been one of my personal favorite maps to play on. I was never that good at Rainbow Six, but I swear all of my favorite moments happened on this map. and it's overall just got a solid layout. But come on, let's all be real here for a second. I'm just delaying the inevitable. We all know the best tactical shooter map, and it's Dust 2. Dust 2 is one of the most important maps in gaming history and has inspired every tactical shooter after it. Everyone is just trying to make their own Dust 2. It's the best map competitively, balanced around the weapon pool perfectly on both offense and defense. It's aesthetically very simple, but that suits a game like Counter-Strike. You don't really want any distractions. This game is serious, okay? There's millions of dollars on the line. Dust 2 will most likely be a lot of people's pick for the most iconic and best map of all time. But before I choose my pick for what I think is the best overall, I have one more very important category to go over. Now, the last category I want to talk about today is the arcade shooter, aka the COD likes. These are different than more traditional arena shooters because there are usually no item pickups, and you choose your loadout before spawning in. So this does change a lot of the map's layouts and designs, because in arena shooters you can force players to go to an area by putting power weapons there. Arcade shooters don't have that luxury. And the main reason I want to talk about all of them is because there are a lot of solid maps in this category. From Strike at Karkand in Battlefield 2, to Sis Horizon in the finals, to Angel City in Titanfall 2. There's way too many maps to cover from way too many games, but the most iconic maps are part of the most popular series, and that's Call of Duty. I personally have fond memories playing on Crash in COD 4. There's that one building that has like 15 flights of stairs, and you just keep going up and up and up, and then you just die to a camper. I love that. There's Firing Range in Black Ops, Terminal in Modern Warfare 2, Hijacked in Black Ops 2, Raid in Black Ops 2. Honestly, like most of Black Ops 2 maps are like insanely good, but the maps that always activate our monkey brains that like the pew-pew explosions, the nonsense, the chaos are
the small maps, the little maps, you know, the little baby maps. Baby Park.
I'm talking about the chaos of shipment in Call of Duty 4, the 360 no-scoping on Rust in Modern Warfare 2, but the most iconic map, the most classic map, the most fun map, and everything in between was always going to be Nuketown. Yeah, I know what you're going to say in the comments. It's a pretty basic pick, and it probably feels overplayed because it's always brought back. But every time it's brought back, it's kind of awesome. Somehow this tiny map is still fun to play with any weapon, including snipers. Do you realize how hard it is to make snipers work on baby maps? Fighting in or around the big truck in the middle, or camping on the top floor of one of the houses, only to get killed by the other camper in the other building? The map surprisingly plays pretty well for a lot of objective-based game modes, and I've always loved it for search and destroy. If a video game has a map maker, the first map that is ever made is always Nuketown. I think it even showed up in Smash 4's map maker. I swear I saw a Nuketown in there. It's arguably the most famous map in this entire list, and for good reason. The only sad part was they introduced the nuke in Modern Warfare 2, and I couldn't get a nuke on Nuketown because Modern Warfare 2 didn't have Nuketown. And that to me was always the biggest tragedy of my entire childhood. Okay, now that I listed all of the best maps of each genre of games, what is the best multiplayer map of all time? Drum roll, please. It's The Pit. Competitive Halo 3 started the careers of many people, and The Pit was a damn near perfect map to usher in the beginnings of esports to a larger audience of young Halo fans. The Pit made me a fan of competitive Halo, and turned me into a try-hard, sweaty shooter pew-pew guy. So without it, I wouldn't be making videos like this, and this channel wouldn't exist, and this video wouldn't even exist. And I'm willing to bet that anybody who has experienced peak Halo 3 The Pit would agree with me. I don't want to sound old, but you kind of had to be there. Now, obviously, many of you will disagree with this list, so please let me know in the comments what is the best multiplayer map of all time, and why. And besides fighting games, I didn't really talk about other non-shooter multiplayer maps like racing games. I just don't play many racing games, so Baby Park would probably be my pick for that, I'm sorry. But regardless, thank you so much for watching my crazy ramblings about games in general. I just like talking about games, okay? I'm sorry. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.